every time we bring her into the show. It looks different every time. The big homie TK, Trysta Krick. What's up, man?
What's up? I've been trying to get things together arranged. So I made a little move.
What's behind you? Is that what picture is that behind you?
We got a little so this is a friend did this for me. Oh, you can't see it. That's those are some J's ones.
Oh,
it's painted with watercolor. Yep, painted with watercolor. This is from the Pharrell book. I just took them out, the prints. And then this was came with the house. This is painted.
Yeah, did those people were they on the run? They just left a lot of stuff. Left the piano, left a picture.
They left a bunch of hooks and what else did they leave? One of those step stool cushion like seating things you can go and go up to the top, and they left that was all vintage. So yeah, a lamp. They left a big lamp, very heavy lamp.
See, they probably thought with the piano it's not worth moving.
You said what now?
They probably thought with that piano it's not worth moving. Like we'll have to hire an entirely different set of movers.
Oh, I think it's thousands of dollars to hire a piano mover. It's like a specific thing.
They probably used it twice in 10 years.
Well, I've heard the same is true for a pool table.
So well, you can hand that pool table over. I'll play on the pool table all night, every night.
Okay.
He wrote when he was talking about his setting. We were talking about setting up places, and he wrote pool table, Pull, pool table, and I was like, I think he means pool table, but maybe he means pool table. You, Damien, you.
Did I do that?
Yeah.
Oh no. I was walking Sprout while we were texting. I wasn't paying attention to.
I was like, I'm not gonna go back and ask if he knew.
It could have been text. It could have been Apple though, because they be Apple. They be having some stupid
I ain't gonna put that on Apple. That was probably on me. Can I show him the video that you sent me?
Yeah, sure.
Trista's out there.
Oh,
she's just out there chopping wood. She set up her, and that was the end result. She got a little fire popping.
Nice.
Got a little pair of hiking boots, little Danners out there.
Yep.
Put them on.
Like 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes.
What to
get some logs for the fire.
Oh, I really did pool table.
That's funny. 15, my bad. 20 minutes. I got I probably chopped, I don't know, 5 or 6 logs into little tiny ones, or, ones for the fireplace. Probably a little more. I mean, it's a workout, dude, because I'm not buying. So what I have done, which probably people don't really care, but I get the wood from the forest around the house. Like I haven't bought any wood. There's just a bunch of probably 1.5 cords of wood in the backyard that I have to chop myself. And some of it's like very old, probably 15 to 20-year-old wood. And then a few trees came down in the forest right near me.
I'm letting you tell the story. I'm trying to be an adult here. I'm trying to be an adult.
I'm sorry, TK. You just kept saying it. Like I got through the first one.
Real quick side road one, especially the word chop. I don't know if this is like a West Coast thing, but definitely in Portland, the word chopper. Look it up.
Yeah.
I got my ass beat by this girl Jenere because I was running around calling her a chopper in 8th grade. And she was like, call me a chopper one more time. She put my shirt underneath my head and just punched me.
How'd you looking like Devin Booker on Christmas Day?
Big old swollen nose. Anyway, a couple of trees came down in the park, and so they used the whatever it is chainsaw, and they had some pieces in. They gave the logs away. So I've been making firewood.
Have either of you guys ever used the chainsaw?
No, I've never used a chainsaw.
I didn't like that experience at all. At all. I didn't like that experience at all. There's too much that could go wrong there.
So I'm still working out the studio. I got this little creator thing that has like these arms with the ring lights and the camera and the mic. But should I get a wide lens, like something to widen myself out so that I can be as back further away?
I mean,
No, I think you
how it
look
is.
great. Like part of the reason you're so close is because of the setup that we use, right? Like
Oh, I
that's
see.
what it looks like when you wind up. But when we do this, we call it the PTI setup. It just cuts out some of the background stuff and puts us all right next to each other.
Got it. My head just looks bigger than you two's heads. So.
Well, you might be a smidge big. If I can pull the computer closer, and it'll even out the size of our craniums there.
Well, it's because you guys aren't using the camera that's on the laptop that you're using. It's like some other camera, right? Yeah, that's why. Correct. It's like a little further back.
You have to move away from your camera.
Casey looks like how they did Windhorse on ESPN those few times.
Kenny Windhorst over there with the giant head. Come on, man. What'd you think of the OG deal?
Oh, I love it. Finally, our man OG Anunoby is free. He's been wanting to go to New York for as long as I can remember. I know that it was 4 first rounds or 3 first round picks that Memphis offered. I know there were some other deals that were in play.
I've never believed that pick.
3 first rounders?
I've never believed that.
That's what they said. They even talked about it. Zach Lowe talked about it today too.
I think Zach Lowe was the originator.
Again,
I don't question that Zach Lowe was told that. Mm-hmm. I just have I just don't believe that that's true.
What players?
Oh, I think it was mostly picks. So I think they wanted. My mom doesn't like the shadow on my cheek. She's told me she doesn't like it. So that's where we're at on that. So
is she texting you right now, honey?
Right this second. This second.
Hi, Mrs. Krick. Hello.
Hey, Mrs. Krick. She needs to come to Sacramento when you come.
For OG, I feel like he has been, and I said this to someone who does a lot of the soft tissue work on him, and we were talking about I think OG's reputation has taken a hit. I think there are a lot of people right now saying, well, is OG Anunoby worth the $40 million that he's inevitably going to get paid? Is he really the belle of the ball? He's a 7-year vet now. You know, his upside, who knows? Like, is it any better than what he is now? And does he really fit into needing a role carved out for himself, right? Does he really need quote unquote touches or the offense built in a way to get him specific amount of touches per game? And to that, I have been riding for OG Anunoby. I've been saying his attempts have gone down every year. His efficiency has gone up. His defensive rating is the worst that it's been in his entire career as a second all NBA defense guy. But like, what's changed? Darko has changed. The coach has changed. The defensive scheme has changed. They don't switch like they did with Nick Nurse. So the way that he gets into the passing lanes and is on-ball defender and off-ball defender, he just doesn't look as good. And then he goes to New York and immediately shows he's irritating Anthony Edwards, holding him to like 27% from the field in the 63 possessions that he's guarded him, forces him into 3 turnovers, 0 assists. So on and off the ball as a defender, we know what he can do. Catch and shoot threes. That's what New York needs, right? RJ Barrett is real trash at the 3, right? Like we've known that. He's been much better this year, but I think that's kind of an anomaly. And when they get to the playoffs, they're going to need guys that can space the floor and keep a defense honest because that paint was so packed and you could not. That's why Julius Randle, I think, was so bad in the playoffs is they didn't respect any guys shooting from deep. So they were like, okay, you just go into traffic, like we'll build a wall, and it made the whole offense sputter. So I think he'll help them in that way, but he loves to move without the ball, as we've seen, right? He's constantly cutting, very high IQ. I think the people who are slandering OG Anunoby right now are going to be eating their words in 3 to 6 months.
I don't know if I was slandering OG Anunoby because I think he's a good ball player. I think he's very, very helpful, very beneficial to a team trying to get to another level. But I think, and this is something that I always say that I shouldn't do, or others shouldn't do. I shouldn't do it myself, right? I'm a little caught up on like that number he's going to be asking for in the offseason. Like, I don't know if he's franchise. Like, that's almost like franchise money. It feels like now we're in a new NBA. We're in a new salary era. So $35, $40 million, that could be for your number 3 guy, as that used to be for your number 1. But I don't know. OG's cool. Does he take them to a championship level, though?
No, but that's not what is intended. right?
I think that's what people talk about him like, though.
I think it's the next domino. You need a specialist and you need a valuable role player who can do a bunch of things that you currently are lacking. But by all means, this is not it. They are not done. Obviously,
What
they
do they
need a
have
backup.
left? Like, what do they have
you need
left?
a backup big.
Well, I thought RJ and Emmanuel Quickly were like their two biggest assets. What do they have left to like move in
Cap
another
space
deal?
too. They'll have some cap space. They'll have a bunch of first round picks. But here's the thing too. They're going to probably, I think, try to go get somebody like Jordan Clarkson to come off the bench and be Emmanuel Quickly. And so then you've replaced what IQ did for you for way less. Because IQ, you talk about a guy who wants a lot of money. He wants Jalen Brunson money. He wants 25 to 30. He's not, maybe he gets to 30 and he's a starting point guard for them. But the Knicks are not paying their six-man $30 million a year. No shot. Jalen Brunson's up for extension this summer. So no chance. The name that I keep hearing it, heard it this offseason, didn't believe it. There's been rumblings, there's been talk. Joel Embiid. I keep hearing it, that they're waiting for Joel Embiid to be disheartened, for them to be a good regular season team again, and to get bounced out of the playoffs in the second round again. I don't know. The culture looks really good now. What's it going to look like in the playoffs? But there's been talks. There's been lots and lots and lots of talks about we're just waiting for JE.
What would that even look like, though, now?
In terms of the package, pause.
Yeah.
Because you guys have got the flags out ready for me. Okay. You guys are ready. New year, same BS. Okay.
Yes. What would the package look like?
I wanted you to say it. I don't know. I think there's probably maybe you end up moving Julius Randle. I don't know. You probably want to keep him. Maybe a lot of picks.
And they do have a lot, right?
Like, they have a lot of picks. I think the Knicks they've been stacking first rounds.
It gets buried because of the Oklahoma City stuff, but they have a lot of tradable pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Tons.
And if it comes to that, like if that's really on the table, I like Julius Randle. You move him.
So they have
absolutely
moving a heartbeat.
They have their own 2024. They have Dallas's 2024 protected 1 through 10. They have Detroit's 2024 protected 1 through 18, which probably will not convey because Detroit is boo-boo. They have Washington's first round pick, top 12 protected. They have Utah or Cleveland's second round pick. They have Miami's second round pick. This is all just in 2024.
And they got their own.
And they've got their own. In 2025, they've got their own. They've got Milwaukee's top 4 protected. They've got a 22nd round pick from Brooklyn with no protections. They've got a second round pick from Detroit, protected only 31 through 55 in 2020. And then that's pretty much where it kind of ends in terms of a bunch of firsts. So that's a lot of picks though, guys.
It is. That is. Absolutely. Plus they got, like you said, in a situation like that, Julius Randle's on the table. I think he's an expiring, so maybe this wouldn't work for the offseason, but they still got Evan Fournier there if they want to make a deal.
Oh yeah, they can move that off the books too.
He's an expiring this year though, right?
Yeah, I'm looking at that right now. Evan Fournier is on the books. No, he's on the books. It's it looks like a club option, so you could pick up his team option and then move him. That's an idea. So you've got a little cap space. You've got, looks like, so yeah, they're a little bit over the cap, but you can still go into the luxury tax depending on how you want to do it.
And I feel like they're doing it the right way. I mean, if you're New York, you get your Brunsons, you go get your OG, you have Julius there, you got all these guys. You can I also forgot you can put Mitchell Robinson in a deal, even though he's out for the season. In the offseason, you can put him in a deal.
Because he makes 15.
And now that you have those pieces in place, now you go star hunting. And what they're doing is right. Like you kind of wait for a franchise guy to say he wants out. And that's kind of what you do.
So if you had Joel Embiid, yeah, you'd have to trade Mitchell Robinson, right? So you keep Hartenstein off the bench. So your starting 5 would be Jalen Brunson. It would be your 3 would be OG Anunoby.
Got Josh Hart there at the 2.
Josh Hart, he kind of plays a little 2, a little 3.
Yeah,
Maybe you end up bringing Quentin Grimes. Maybe he's a starter for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got OG Anunoby, Embiid. Is that 5? Maybe Josh Hart. That's a pretty thin team. They're going to need to round that out with some depth for sure.
You talked about dominoes falling. OG was a guy who Kings fans talked about quite a bit. What's the next domino to fall for Sacramento with OG Anunoby now in New York?
You want Pascal? I mean, I don't think he's going to re-sign anywhere that he goes.
Siakam more than I think there's a lot of people here who wanted Siakam more than OG.
To answer your question, I take Siakam. I take
Siakam.
Now the price
is not going to sign.
Yeah, and that's where the
so to be clear is I don't think he's signing with anyone.
Right.
Like that's not I'm never going to sign with Sacramento or I'm never going to sign with the team that's trading. It does not make financial sense for him to sign with anyone until the season is over and he's a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. He'd help you, but you'd have to give like really pennies on the dollar. We know from what Masai, and I said this on Twitter, Masai did not want to move OG Anunoby. That's been kind of one of his prized possessions on the roster, despite how poorly he was used. He wanted to keep him. And OG just frankly said, I can't promise you that I'm going to re-sign here. And Pascal's not promising he's going to re-sign there. So you may have 2 guys that you lose for nothing that are somewhere in the max money neighborhood. So what do you really have if you don't get anything back? They were forced to make this move. I think IQ helps them a lot, but I think absolutely Pascal is a player that they're now going to try to move, even though that was their first option and they couldn't move him even for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, when you talk about Sacramento, I definitely would take him because right now I'm looking to upgrade at the starting number, the 4 spot, starting 4 spot. So I'm like I said, the price, because it's up in the air whether or not he'd sign with you. I wouldn't be giving a whole lot.
Yeah.
But if you could get him, absolutely, I'd bring him in, start him at the 4, move Keegan to the 3. And
do you move Harrison Barnes?
Yes.
Because worst case, if you get Siakam and Barnes is in the deal, and you don't sign Siakam back, now that money's off your books. So you can go do something. You can go be involved in a trade, get a free agent, something like that. So if Barnes is what it would get the deal done, yeah, I'd make that move.
What else? What other players you guys thinking about?
That we would want?
Well,
yeah. Who's available that you think is actually possible?
You know who I thought about over the weekend? They were talking about it on the Insiders during the Christmas break. And I don't know where I'm at with it yet, but I'm kind of intrigued. They brought up the name DeJounte Murray. And I'm thinking about a guy at the 2 spot that could defend and create in the open court. His 3-point shooting or lack thereof is what concerns me a little bit. Ever since he left San Antonio, he's just done things where I haven't been a big DeJounte Murray fan. Like I don't know about the guy, but I'm intrigued by him coming to Sacramento and starting at the 2. Now he's on an expiring as well, so I wouldn't be giving up much for him because you don't know if you can retain him. But he's piqued my interest. What you think about DeJounte?
He doesn't seem interested in playing defense anymore. That was his thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like he's kind of gotten a little funny style. Like he just thinks he's better than that now. I don't know. I don't want to say diva-esque, but like a little diva-esque. And he goes on a team with Trae Young, and that was why they traded for him. They traded for him to play off ball and to play defense and to be able to shoot the 3, be able to like bring the ball up when needed, spell Trae Young when he's on the bench, right, or just like have another shot creator. But what is DeJounte now? He stands around in the corner, does not get involved in the offense whatsoever. And the offense is absolutely abysmal when he's the point guard. They are absolutely terrible. He will not play defense whatsoever. Even though he gets a steal a game, It's just not the same level of high quality intensity that we were used to from him. And it feels like, well, I guess now that I'm not in San Antonio anymore, I don't have to do this anymore.
Is there a team ahead of Sacramento? Because we talk about deals, and there's obviously things going on in starting lineup with Kevin Huerter and all of that stuff. Harrison Barnes is always going to be a trade discussion. But with this team as it is there a team in the Western Conference, particularly the 4 above Sacramento, that you think are particularly scary?
Above the 4 or below the 4?
Above where Sacramento is. So like the Oklahoma Cities,
Minnesota,
Denver, Minnesota, and the Clippers.
Yeah, I think for me, I obviously think the Nuggets are the best team in the NBA. I think when the playoffs come,
that's a take right there.
They're gonna be
in the NBA.
In the best. They're the best team in the NBA. They're the best team. That's because you're focused on the regular season right now. But what we know is, what I continue to say, and I continue to be proven right, is that first and foremost, the trope is correct, folks. Jaylen Brown doesn't go left. His handle is extremely suspect. For a 2-3, like, he's just not that. Tatum in half-court play, when you need him to go out and get you a bucket, I am not sure why Tatum is tween, step back from 30, but he needs to quit with that BS. Like, he needs to stop with that. Go to the rack. Move the ball around. Joe Mazzulla, I am so out on him. He's gotten better, but I am just not. I am not a fan of Boston whatsoever. Love Jrue Holiday. Love Kristaps Porzingis. I am not messing around with Boston. They're going to need to prove me wrong in order for me to feel differently. Same thing with Milwaukee. They don't play any defense. We know what time it is there. I'm more afraid of OKC if I'm the Nuggets, or Minnesota. Really Minnesota, probably, because of how they play Jokic, and they make it so difficult where they have 2 bigs blitz him. One's coming, one's playing directly on Jokic on defense, and the other one's coming in as an irritant. But I'm more afraid of the Western Conference than I am the Eastern Conference.
OKC beat the brakes off them boys the other night.
Yeah.
OKC the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
I think Minnesota's the real deal, and it's happening again. I said this wouldn't happen anymore. It's happening again. Clippers are reeling me in, man. Clippers are reeling me in. They do it every year, and then they fall on their face every year. I go through this about the same time every year. Every January, February, I start to feel the same way, and they get into the playoffs, and they do nothing. But it's happening again, Trysta.
I know. I'm starting to feel it too. It's like it's almost like a spell. They're the siren on the rock. They're and you're like, oh my God, do you hear that? It's the Clippers calling. It's Kawhi Leonard, MVP Kawhi Leonard. Do you hear that? Oh, it's the splash of the net with Paul George. Oh my God, it's 2-way. Oh, you see that? It's Harden as a distributor. Oh my God, is that a Plumlee double-double?
Meanwhile, what the Clippers should be is what's it called? You got Pride Rock. What's that dark place that Mustafa was showing Simba? Don't ever go over there.
That's where what's his name lived?
Where Scar lived. Yeah, you never go over there. We rule over all it. Stay away from there. That's what the Clippers really are. Is there that dark area where Scar is, and you don't want to go over there?
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, they are, and they're like Kenny. Trysta.
The hyenas is coming to get you. Yep, and we know how that ends.
You and Bones on the ground.
Kenny off the cliff.
I know.
Hey, but I love to shout out to Russ. Showing top 25 in all-time scores yesterday.
Shout out Russ, man. They ain't got Norm. We ain't even talking about Norm Powell. Now they finally, after 3 years, they've implemented my boy Coffee into the rotation. I mean, goodness great. Terrence, man. I mean, oh man, my boy
Ty Lue. Just a tiny little mere coffee.
Yeah, they cooking.
Yeah,
they cooking for sure. But the point was, and you've got the Pelicans when you round out the group. Sacramento's right there in the middle. You have Pelicans, Dallas, Phoenix, Houston, LA. I name off those teams. The Pelicans strike a little bit of concern, given the fact that the Kings are 0-3 versus them, but the other 4 don't. Not that I don't have a healthy respect for the other 4 teams, but like Houston's beat Sacramento twice. So, boy, if the Kings don't make a trade, man, Houston might get them. I don't really feel that way. But
Lakers are 500.
we're
Wow.
really
It's crazy.
we're really hung up on the Sacramento Kings making a move, and it's kind of like, okay, like I get it, but then what? Like, can they not compete with this roster that they have?
It's the same thing like with the OG Anunoby thing. You're not going to get OG Anunoby unless you're trading something of value. And what was that going to be? That was going to be a guy that none of us want traded, which is Keegan. Like, Keegan's not going anywhere.
That's foolish. Like and I don't understand. So I don't understand that line of thinking. Why does Sacramento have to be the only franchise that trades something to acquire something? Like Sacramento has to be the franchise that gives up on their rookie prospects. Again, Trysta, I've said this a million times. You pulled that ripcord once, and it worked. You can't do it again.
No,
unless it's Giannis or Joel. Like, you're not doing it for OG Anunoby. You're not doing it for Pascal Siakam.
No chance.
And James brought up a great point, and this is what sits in my head. You trade for whoever, Zach LaVine, Pascal Siakam resigns. What's that mean for Malik Monk? Because you tell me before you do anything, we can go acquire $100 million in salary. We could bring in $100 million more in salary next year. And here's how we resign Malik Monk in the process. That's all I care.
Malik Monk's one of the untouchables. He can't.
Facts. That's right.
He's an untouchable.
And what Damien's talking about is not only is he untouchable, but you have to make sure you're able to resign him.
100%. Protect at all costs. Facts. Not just because of how he plays off the bench and how he's a spark plug, but you can tell he's like an emotional leader for this team. He's not. It's almost disrespectful to say this, but it's the only word that comes to mind. But it's like mascot vibes. Like, he's more than that. Obviously, he's incredible as a just like an immense athletic phenom. But the chemistry with Fox is obviously important too. But like, I feel like fans rally around Monk.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. You ever, Trysta? You ever seen the movie High School High? You remember that movie? It was like one of those parodies. It was like a parody of Dana Line or something like that. I don't know if you remember, but I always use the analogy. Mekhi Phifer's in that movie, and the kid, the class,
David
that's right, like a rhinestone cowboy. That was the scene, right? But Mekhi Phifer's in the movie, and he's the class is bad or whatever, and the guy, the sub, comes in, says, "Everybody get out your books," and the whole class turns and looks at Mekhi Phifer in the back. And Mekhi puts his headphones on, and then everybody says, we're like, they're acting up or whatever, right? So the guy gets through to Mekhi, and he asks him like a month later, like, everybody get your books out and turn to page 15. They all look at Mekhi. He gets his book out. The whole class gets their book out. That's what I use like a lot of time in sports. That's what I feel like De'Aaron and Malik are here in Sacramento. Like, they look at them and they say, are we good? They say we're good, then we rolling. If they show any tinge of like frustration or they're not like, or uneasiness, then everybody's uneasy. That's what I feel.
That's leadership though for you. And I think for somebody who's a sixth man to be an emotional leader, and you feel like Fox and Monk should have been always together, right? They should have always been on the same team from the very beginning. And now that they're there, it would be heartbreaking. And I know that Fox knows it's a business because this happens all the time. But if you can keep them together on this team for their entire careers, I think you should.
Trysta Krick, Heat Check Pod.